Hello everyone, I'm excited to welcome you to my mobile photo editing course. I'm Shubham and I have been doing photography since 2016 using both my smartphone and my DSLR. Over the years, I have realized something. You don't need professional camera or expensive software to create professional looking results. You can get amazing photos right out of your smartphone, as long as you know how to edit them well. That is exactly what this course is about. I'm going to teach you how you can edit your photos professionally right from your smartphone using free applications. We'll be working with iPhone's inbuilt photo editor, Snapseed, VSCO, and Lightroom Mobile. You'll learn how to edit with intention and not just apply filters blindly. I want you to feel confident in editing any of these applications, whether you want a more natural look or a more stylized Instagram friendly vibe. By the end of this course, you will have a strong understanding of editing fundamentals and you will be able to create yourself a fantastic editing workflow. I can't wait to see what you guys create after this course. Let's get started. First module is about editing your photos using the iPhone's inbuilt photo editor. You don't always need fancy new applications to edit your photos. In fact, most of the photos that I have taken in the past using an iPhone have been edited within the Photos app. Now, without wasting any time, let's get into the app. You just click on an image and the three dotted lines on the bottom, click on it and you will enter the Photos app. First setting that you will see is the auto adjustment. Let's start with the basics, and one by one I will also explain what everything means. At the bottom, you will see an auto button. This automatically adjusts your photos based on what the iPhone thinks looks good. I don't think it's a decent starting point for your photo because it does not do any service to you probably for most of the photos. I think all it does, it increases the contrast a little bit and recovers the shadows a little bit. I think you can do it on your own a lot better than what the iPhone does. Next is exposure. Exposure controls how bright or dark your photo is. If your photo is too dark, increasing the exposure can help, but be careful because increasing the exposure too much can blow out your highlights completely. Brilliance. This is unique to the iPhone. It increases the brightness in dark areas without affecting the bright areas too much. Highlights. Controls the brightest parts of your image. If the sky or a white object or white wall looks completely blown out in the image, you can reduce the highlights to bring some details back. Shadows affects the darker areas. Lifting shadows can help recover details from the shadows, as the name suggests. Again, pushing it too far can make the image look flat. Contrast increases the difference between your light and your dark areas. In other words, it brightens your bright areas and darkens the dark areas of the image. Adding contrast can make your photos feel punchier, but hold your horses and be careful because this is a setting that many people mess up, and if you add too much contrast, your photos will look terrible most of the time. Brightness. This is almost the same as exposure but slightly softer. Black point. This deepens the darkest part of your image or makes it brighter. Saturation. It controls the overall intensity of the colors. This is a setting that you need to keep in mind to not overdo because a lot of people overdo saturation and it results in terrible looking images. Vibrance. It works like saturation but only on the dull and muted colors. I personally prefer vibrance over saturation for most of my editing. Warmth or temperature. Adjust these if the photo feels too cool or too warm. Tint. It is useful if the skin or white surfaces look off in a photo. You will not need this adjustment every time, only if the skin tones look off or any of the white surfaces look off or your color grading. Sharpness, definition, and noise reduction. I don't touch these settings at all, and I recommend you don't touch them either. Only use them for low light photos. You can increase the sharpness a little bit, add a little bit of noise reduction because it is only useful for low light photos. Over sharpening can make your photos look fake. Vignette. It makes your images borders either brighter or darker depending on what you want. One thing I want to emphasize here is each and every photo is different. Each and every photo will require different adjustment. Some photos will require you to brighten them and some photos will require you to darken them. Editing is about looking at a photo and figuring out what does this photo need. I also want to point out that less is more. Try making smaller adjustments at first and step back to see the bigger picture. If you tap on the photo once, you can see what it looked like before. You can also see the before and after comparison this way. You can also copy and paste your edits. You can just go on a photo, click on the three dots and copy edits from there, and you can go on any of the image you want, click on the three dots again, paste edits. The Photos app has inbuilt filters as well. I personally love using filters because they can give your photos a beautiful look. If you do use them, reduce the filter strength for a more subtle look. You can also crop or rotate your photos within the Photos app like this. If you have edited a photo in the Photos app and you do not like the edits that you've done and you want to revert back to the original photo, this is how you can do it. Hello everyone and welcome to the second module. This is where I'm switching to the smartphone completely because the rest of the applications are slightly more advanced and need a more hands-on approach. This is where we are diving into one of my favorite free editing apps, Snapseed. Snapseed is available on both iPhone and Android and it's super powerful for mobile editing. The best part is it's completely free and gives you tools that feel almost professional. In this module, I'm going to show you a basic editing workflow in Snapseed that you can use on any photo. Let's open the Snapseed app and see what we get. Tap anywhere to open the photo. Let's open this landscape. There are some filters here, completely useless by the way. I don't like Snapseed filters at all because they don't look good at all. They're pretty basic and I think they do more harm than good. Hop over to tools. The first is tune image. Brightness, you're already familiar. Contrast, saturation, ambience. Ambience is brilliance from the Photos app. It works exactly the same. Reduces your bright areas and brightens your dark areas at the same time. Most people don't like the increased look. I mean, photo editing is subjective and everyone likes different things. I reduce it for most of my personal editing, but then again, that's my taste. Let's reduce it slightly so we focus more on the light here. Brightness, I think, increase it a little bit. Contrast makes the image a little more punchy. I want to focus on the light dark areas. For example, the mountains, some part of it is under shadows, some are under highlights. I want to emphasize on that. For that, I want to increase the contrast here. Highlights. You can reduce the highlights to reveal more details from the clouds or your bright areas. For this particular image, let's reduce the highlights a bit. You can click on the top right to reveal the before and after. Tap and hold to reveal the before. Leave it and it shows you what you're working with. You can also click on the image as well. Tap and hold on the image to reveal the before and after. Next up will be shadows. Shadows, I personally want to reduce the shadows. I think we have already done a decent job. Warmth, as you know what it does. Now, if you look at the bottom row, this is just the visibility button X. You can also see the histogram, which again, I don't think many people use histogram a lot. Warmth, highlights, and this magic button. If you click on it, it automatically adjust your image. And see, it automatically adjusted my image. Now I don't like this look personally. Just cross, and let's hop over to the next setting. Details. Details is structure and sharpening. You can increase them or reduce them again based on the image. If you go for a softer look, you can reduce them to go for a softer, more dreamy look, or reduce or increase it like this to go for a over edited look. Again, again, I have increased them too much, and I think increase them slightly. Whenever you're editing structure of the image, zoom out completely, and now you edit the structure. Whenever you're editing sharpening, zoom into the image and now adjust sharpening so you can see the overall effect it has on your details. Don't go too crazy with it. For most of the images, I don't even add anything. For structure, for most of my images, again, I reduce it to give a more dreamy, softer look, but again, it's personal taste. Now then hop on to the next tool. Curves. Curves are the most advanced tool in Snapseed and the one I use personally all the time for color grading. There are a lot of filters here, color filters. Again, you can try them. Some of them look good. You can also edit those filters individually like this. Let's hop over again. Soft contrast, hard contrast, brighten, darken, faded, and a lot of them filters. Let's create our own look from scratch first, and then I'll talk about how you can edit established filters. You click on the circle on the left, RGB. This affects all the channels red, green, and blue. Your image is made of three colors red, green, and blue. This affects all three of them. This affects mostly the brightness. So, also curve editing is a little more advanced. So I highly recommend you to practice before going for it in your final images. Ideally, an S-shaped curve works the best. All it does it adds more contrast to the image. You can look at the before and after. The difference is crazy and immediately noticeable. You can also adjust the midpoint like this. Click to add a point and always be subtle when you're dealing with the curves. Don't go too crazy. Don't go too crazy with it. Otherwise, you have a high chance of making your image look terrible. Now, if you click on the individual colors here, red, you will edit only the red color. Lowering the curve point means reducing that color. If you lower this curve, you are reducing the red color, which means you're adding bluer and green shades to the image. You're adding more green. If you increase it like this, you're adding more reds. If you're adding it to a lower point in the graph, you're adding it to the shadows. If you're adding it to a higher point in the image, you're adding it to the highlights. Again, this as a setting I personally love. It is very complicated to use, but I love using them. So I want to add some green to my shadows because of the mountains. And a little bit here and a little bit there. Let's see the before and after. Huge difference. You can edit the curves for all three. They all work together. Green. Also, for example, if you added multiple points here, but now you want to get rid of the points, how do you get rid of the points? Is tap and hold on a point and drag it to the outside. If you drag it to the outside, it gets deleted. Blue. If you reduce blue, you get green. If you increase blue, you get blue. So do you want to add anything blue to the image? I don't think I do. And you can click on the eye to change the visibility. Now, if you look at the next option, you will find white balance. In this particular photo, I don't think it needs a lot of editing. I'm changing everything here because I'm trying to show what impact it is going to have on the image. You're going to click on AW for auto white balance. You can click on the center, this adjustment icon, to reveal tint and temperature separately. You can also reveal the tint and temperature by swiping up and down on the image. Now you can click on this eyedropper tool to reveal what point would you like to select as the point that determines the white balance of the photo, which means you click on this tool and select and make sure the plus icon is something on that is white. I'm putting it on the clouds so it's on the white properly, and it changes a little bit here and there. Click on the right when you're satisfied. Next tool is the cropping tool. There are all the popular ratios here. Just select any ratio that you want and click on the right button. We're not going to do that. This image rotate is swipe left or swipe right for rotation or image rotation. You can also mirror the image from the icon on the lower left, and you can rotate using the rotate button. Click wrong, click the tick icon when you're satisfied. I clicked the wrong because I don't want to rotate the image at all. Next is the perspective. Perspective is like this. If you're swiping up, I'm swiping up, and it changes the entire perspective of the shot, of how the shot was taken. Again, don't edit too much because it has the tendency of looking super weird. Again, look at how incredible this looks. You can make subtle adjustments and it will look real, and you can adjust your image a lot. You can also swipe left or swipe right for a different look. It has multiple options: tilt, rotate, scale, and freeform. Scale. It will autofill the remaining areas. You can also click on the magic button to adjust it automatically. If you click on the center button, there's smart, white, and black. Smart It fills it up with imaginary details, and white or black are the borders. Freeform is when you can adjust all four corners of the image separately. Again, this is a little too advanced, and you should only use it for corrective purposes rather than artistic ones. Again, if you know what you're doing, you can also use them in an artistic manner. I'll click on wrong because I don't want this edit on my photo. Let's go to the next tool is expand. Expand is another one that is hit and a miss. It will not always be a hit. For example, let's increase the dimensions of the image. And you're able to increase the borders of the image by creating new details. It uses repetitive textures and patterns. It is not super good. I'm gonna say it is not super good, but it can be used sporadically here and there. Expand. Now, one of my favorite tools is selective. Click on the selective. Now you can make selections based on color. For example, I want to brighten the clouds, but only the clouds and nothing else. Select the cloud. You can drag it to make a more accurate selection of color. It will affect the color basically. So select a middle color. So you select the entire gamut, leave it, and now you can pinch to reduce or increase the area it affects. You can affect brightness, contrast, saturation, and structure. Through structure, you can enhance the details and contrast. Reduce it. I only want to brighten the clouds, but only slightly, not much. Contrast, you can increase it slightly. Saturation, I don't want to. I want to reduce it a little bit. Structure, I want to reduce it for a dreamier look. Click on right. You can also adjust. You can click on the plus button to have another spot. This time I want to adjust the mountain. I want to adjust the bright green colors, make them brighter so we can get more contrast out of the image. Click plus again, and I want to reduce, I want to darken the dark areas. So just reduce the brightness, click on right, see the before and after, dramatic change. Let's go to tools and let's go to the next one. Next one is a brush tool. Dodge and burn, exposure, temperature, and saturation. You can just rub the brush again and again for the impact. Click on wrong again. Let's start again. Brush. You need to zoom in to use the brush properly. You can also use the temperature brush. For example, see, the Snapseed app is pretty advanced. So it's going to take me, I think, 4 to 5 hours to explain the app completely. So I might gloss over a few things that I'd like you to explore on your own. I think this is one of them. Exposure setting. And you can increase the exposure of the sky using the brush. I personally prefer the selective tool more rather than using the brush tool. Click wrong. Healing tool, one of the best tools of the entire app. You can just zoom in. For example, this black dot, I don't like this. You click on the black dot and it's vanished. I don't like this car. You tap and drag it and it goes away. You can also click on the undo button if you misclick or something. You can tap to remove small details. You need to just zoom in the image and go cleaning mode to remove stuff you don't like, to make a cleaner image. Click on right. Let's move on to the next one. Lens blur is a fantastic option. You can drag this to the area you want to focus on. Let's focus on the mountain. Pinch or pinch in or pinch out to make the focus area smaller or bigger. Drag up or down to strengthen the blur, transition, or vignette strength. We don't need vignette. Transition to make the transition from blur to sharp. I like to keep this as high as possible in the image. And blur strength, I personally keep it around 1920. I don't use them for landscape images because it doesn't look good. So let's just click on wrong. Vignette. You can add a vignette on your image. You can also adjust the size of the vignette, outer brightness. You can also increase the brightness. Double exposure. You can add an image here. It is a very complex sort of a thing. Lighten, darken, subtract, overlay. It is a crazy tool. I have never used it properly, but I think you can. Text. You can add text to your image. Just add whatever it is and double tap to change the text. Just write whatever you want. Click on OK. You can also adjust the opacity. You can also add a frame to your image. I know some people use them. I personally don't. I don't think it looks that good, but to each their own. Now, to export this, click on export and save a copy. Creates a copy with changes that you can undo. Save a copy and export are basically the same thing when it comes to iOS, but when you click on save, it overwrites your original photo, something I don't think you should do at all. Always save a copy. Now let's open up a portrait shot to see what we can do with it. Click on open, and let's edit this portrait here slightly. If you click on portrait here, smooth, spotlight, there are some lighting options here and there. Not really pretty, to be honest. I think this looks fine. There are just filters here. You can also click on the face, spotlight, skin smoothing, just some AI based things. And if you go to head pose, you can drag up and down to change the direction of the face slightly. Again, it can look very weird. Pupil size. Let's zoom in and see if it changes anything. A lot of time these effects are rather subtle. Smile. Oh my god. It is creepy. It looks very creepy, to be honest, but it can work for some people. Focal length. People look better with higher focal length, so there is this option. I don't think these are very useful. Now this is it for this module. Let's move on to the next module. Oh, I just forgot one small thing again. You can edit your photos like this. You can create a preset as well. View edits, and if you click, no, let's edit them a little bit. Let's increase the ambience, let's warmth, click on the right, you click on the top right, click on view edits and click on the three dots, copy. Now open another image. Let's open this one. You click on the top right again, view edits, and you can insert the edits that you have copied from the past image. In a way, it is like a preset. Now that is it for this module. I hope you liked it, and let's move on to the next module. Now, as for this module, we are covering editing with VSCO. VSCO is really well known for their presets or filters that give photos a certain mood or aesthetic. If you've ever seen Instagram photos with soft tones, vintage vibes, or muted colors, chances are they were edited with VSCO. Let's start. Let's open up the app. Personally, I don't recommend paying for the VSCO app because it is not worth it, but to each their own. Click on the plus icon to import a photo. Let's edit this vintage. I think it is the Rajasthan's city palace, Udaipur city palace rather. So let's see. Click on edit image, and there are 15 to 20 filters that you can apply on your image. Pick whichever one you think enhances the mood and vibe of your image. What do you want to highlight in the image? I want to highlight the vintage vibe and vintage architecture in the shot. And more often than not, yellow color is used. I think the first filter looks okay. Let's see more filters on what highlights the yellows more and gives us a more vintage look. You can click on the filter again to adjust the intensity. And there are tons and tons of paid filters in the app as well. But we will only use the free ones for this tutorial. There are 2, 3 black and white filters as well. I like this one a little bit. And you can reduce the intensity of the filter. Click on right. And there are not many editing options within the app. Actually, VSCO for me and for most people is a secondary editing app. First, you do all the color correction in your image using Snapseed, iPhone's default photo editing app, or Lightroom, or any other app. And then you come into the VSCO for the final touch, that is a filter. I think this looks okay. This looks okay too. Warm look. You can also see more examples from the filter, what type of photos look good with the filter. I think this looks okay. Now you can adjust, click on adjust, and you can rotate, you can skew like this. Exposure, contrast, even Highlights and shadows are behind a paywall, which I think is pretty dumb in my opinion. Saturation, white balance, HSL, which we will cover in Lightroom. HSL is one of the only settings that Snapseed lacks to make it a complete app. Even clarity and grain are locked behind a paywall. There are not much you can do. You can click on skin tone to adjust the skin tone. Now, this is like HSL for yellow and oranges. That's it. That's all this is. All VSCO has is its filters. That's it. Remove is experimental. Blur is again hidden behind a paywall. I genuinely do not recommend paying for VSCO at all. The only thing VSCO is, it's the last touch to an image using filters, and that's it. To export your image, just click on the top right and click to save to camera roll. You can also click on post to VSCO. VSCO is kind of like Instagram, a social media as well, so you can post it there too. I will just click on save to camera roll. So the image is saved now. That is it for this module. There is not much to VSCO, to be very honest. Let's move on to the app that has a lot now. Welcome to module number 5. In this module, we're diving into Lightroom Mobile, one of the most powerful free editing apps that you can use on your phone. Most professional photographers that you see on Instagram definitely swear by Adobe Lightroom. So let's just open the app and see what greets us. If you have edited any previous photos, you will find them here. We want to import new photo. This is freshly installed on my phone. Let's edit this portrait for now. You can zoom in, and if you click on auto, it automatically adjusts just like the iPhone's app and just like other applications. I recommend people to not do it. Again, if you're a beginner, if you're short on time, you can, but most of the time you will do a better job than auto adjustment. So let's remove that again. You click on it and it's removed. Now, if you click on the button in the middle, right next to the editing button is the cropping button. Here you can rotate your image like this. I think the image is already pretty straight. We don't need to rotate it much. And there are your aspect ratios. Instagram stories will be 9:16 and Instagram post will be 4:5. There is logged straighten. It will straighten automatically using AI. You can also flip your photo horizontal and vertical. First, let's talk about editing the light. You click on the light and here is your light panel: exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, whites, blacks. There is also an option to edit in HDR mode. This is high dynamic range mode. I don't think you should edit in HDR mode ever. Most HDR content will look terrible on non-HDR displays. Again, most iPhones these days have HDR displays and most Android phones too, but the tuning is different. So in some phones, your content will look better, and in some, your content will look trash. So I don't think you should take that risk. So we'll edit in normal mode, and I think you should too. So these are all your normal settings: exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, whites, and blacks. So let's edit this a tiny bit. I think it deserves a little bit of an edit. And if you tap and hold on the image, you can see the before and after. To remove this panel from here, to remove the light panel from here, click on light again, and you can see the entire image. Now see the before and after, before, after, before, after. We just increased the brightness and contrast. Now again click on the light panel, and there are curves here as well. Click on the curve. This is your overall RGB curve that handles contrast. Generally, we use 3-point system. This is your shadows, the lower left one. This is the mid tones, and on the top are the highlights. You increase the contrast in the highlights and you bring the shadows down to create contrast. If you see the before and after again, it is a dramatic change so far. Let's tone down the highlights a bit. Again, curves require a little bit of precision to work. And at the tone end, you can crush the details completely, crush the black portions. Again, it generally does not look that good, especially if you go overboard like this. But subtlety is the key here whenever you're using curves. You can also go for the faded Instagram look. You can also like this. Again, I don't think it looks that good, so we will not do that. Now there are red, green and blue channels as well for advanced color grading. We will not hamper that here. But I want to teach you one thing here. For example, if you added all these points and you just edit it like this. Okay, so you have effectively ruined your image. What to do now? If you click on done, this edit will be done. But you click on the undo button here and undo the curves. You can also redo a previous edit like this. Now, another thing in the tone curve, if you want to remove a point in Snapseed, what we did was we dragged the point outside and it vanished. It does not work like that here. Here what you need to do is you double tap on any point to reduce it, to remove it, not reduce it, to remove it. Now there are all these curves. Let's just click on done because we are done here. Now let's move on to the color tab. In color tab you can change this photo to black and white. I will not do that here. And you have the temperature picker. You just click on the dropper tool and pick white area in your image. Again, it does not work on all images as well. So these are all your temperature settings. You can increase the warmth, increase the tint, and reduce the vibrance to create a beautiful color grade. Just look at this. I think the color grade looks nice. Pretty simple color grade is warm your photo, add a little bit of a tint. You can go in either direction. I think pink suits more here because of the skin tone, and then you can reduce the vibrance to give a beautiful look. Now let's move on to something a little more advanced. If you click on grading here, these are your shadows, midtones and highlights, and these are global adjustments. Global affects the entire image. You just drag this slider. If you go outside the circle or on the edge of the circle, you will have most saturation as described on the top of the image. Saturation, reduce the saturation, and you can control the hue from here. I think this looks the best. Click on done. You will do the exact same thing for highlights and shadows. I think the edit so far has been wonderful. Let's go to light panel and increase the contrast a tiny bit again. Increase the highlights. I think the contrasty looks I think the contrast looks really incredible. Now there are some tools like blur. You can try it. I think it looks terrible and there is nothing much to teach here because it's still in beta. Now click on effects and there are grain. You can add grain to your image. You can increase the size of the grain. Click on effects again to remove it from the panel. You zoom in to check for details properly. Grain reduces the detail a lot. Oh, grain reduces the detail a lot, but I think it can give off a vintage look to the image. We don't want that, so let's just remove it. You can also adjust your vignette from here. I don't think vignette, I don't like the look of vignette, or be very subtle with it. Now you can go into effects and there is texture. It improves the sharpness of your image. The overall texture increases minute detail. There's clarity that focuses on contrast. I think these are all pretty terrible options for skin. Dehaze. I love dehaze as an option because a lot of times there are situations that we as photographers cannot control. One of the situations is haze. If there is haze in the background, you can increase dehaze to get clearer details in the shot. And if you reduce dehaze, you will get a foggy look. Again, it does not work in this particular image. It does not look good, so we will just remove it. Also, if you have increased it and you want to get it back to 0, you can just double tap on the name. I double tap on dehaze, the word dehaze, and it sets back to 0. I think I'll add dehaze. Now, if you see the before and after, it is a dramatic change. Again, I'm not going for hardcore color accuracy. I'm going for an artistic edit. Now click on edit again, and now is the detail panel. You can reduce color noise from here. Again, most phones these days don't have a lot of color noise. Noise reduction, you will only use noise reduction in low light photos. You zoom in as much as you can and then you do noise reduction. Again, you look at how soft the image becomes when you do noise reduction. Inside noise reduction, this detail panel means how much detail do you want to recover. If I put it to 0, this is a blob of an image. It looks AI generated. Now you go into detail again. If you set it to 100, very little noise will be reduced. Most noise reduction will not damage your image. Again, I think I don't want to tamper with it. You can also apply sharpening. However, daylight images generally don't require that much sharpening, and over sharpening can make your images look terrible and fake. So let's remove this panel and let's focus on optics. Here you have two options: remove chromatic aberration and enable lens correction. If you have taken a photo with a wide angle lens and you have the fisheye effect or your edges are warped in that image, you can enable lens correction on that image to see some effect. And chromatic aberration is something that happens mostly with DSLR images or low light images. These are small tiny artifacts in the image. You can remove them from this option. Next up are profiles. There are filters here which you can use. There are a lot of filters to choose from. I think the filters are okay. At best, they are not super interesting. There are a lot of black and white and monochromatic options here. Pick whichever one you like. This is a slider that you can use to adjust the intensity. Oh boy, this is horrible. Click on wrong, and that's it for the editing part. Now the masking tool and remove tool are paid, and since I'm focusing on free versions in this course, we will not cover those. Now there is actions button. If you click on it, it's kind of like the auto button, but for other settings as well. And if you click on presets, there are premium presets. Adaptive sky, you can replace the entire sky. Adaptive blur background and portraits. These are all paid presets. If you click on yours, these are all the basic options. If you click on anything, these are just presets. I don't think this one looks all that nice. Again, if you want, you can use them. I don't think they look that good. So that's it. I think we have done a decent job editing this photo. Again, I believe this does look slightly over edited to me. Here's how I'll fix it. It looks a little too dark, I think. Let's increase the exposure a bit and reduce the contrast from here. Now let's see. I think this looks much better. There is one panel I forgot to mention. If you go to color, we covered the grading part, shadows, midtones, highlights, and the global adjustment. We have already made adjustments using this. There is color mix here. If you click on color mix, this is HSL panel. If you select any color from here, for example, let's select orange, you can change the orange color to some extent. Again, don't go overboard with it because it has a tendency to look crazy. Let's just add a little bit, make it slightly towards red. You can also increase or decrease the saturation. Again, don't go crazy with it. And you can double tap any option to reset it. And luminance is brightness if you want to increase or decrease the brightness. Let's not go crazy with it. Increase the brightness just a little bit to make the subject pop. And this circle icon, if you click on the circle icon, if you click on the circle icon, now if you click on the circle icon and drag anywhere across the image, you can edit that particular color. For example, I want to edit the green. You tap and hold and drag upwards bottom. Now to edit the grass, for example, we want to edit the grass's color. Now there is another option here, which again, this is slightly more automated option, so I do not use it. But you can use it. This small circle you see next to color mix, you click on it and you drag up or down to change the hue of any color that you want. For example, we'll change the color of the grass. Tap, tap and hold on the grass, and now drag up to change the hue and drag down to change the hue to something else. For example, this yellowish color, I don't think it looks that good. I think the slight green was the better one because our subject was standing out a lot. And you can also increase the greens. Now, we are not increasing the saturation with this tool. We are only changing the hue. I think this looks too artificial. So let's just slightly yellowish tone. I think it looked fine before. So you disable it and set things back to normal and remove this panel. I think this is a fine image now. Now, if you want to export this image, click on the three dots on the top right, save a copy to device. You can also create your own preset. For example, this is all the editing that I have done. You can click on the three dots, create preset, name whatever preset, and select which editings would you like to select. And then click on the right button. We will not save this preset right now. And let's just save the copy to device. Lightroom Mobile is an app that I want you to experiment with as much as you can. This is a phenomenal app. For example, look at this before and after. This is a dramatic change with the image that did not take that much hard work, to be honest. Again, it might take longer than Snapseed or VSCO especially, but you'll be amazed at how much control you have of your image. In the next module, we'll cover some editing tips and choosing the right app for the job. In this module, I want to leave you with some final editing tips, common mistakes to avoid, and guidance on choosing the right app for each photo. Tip number 1, don't over edit. One of the biggest mistakes I see people is going too far with contrast, saturation, or clarity. A great edit should feel natural, like an enhanced version of reality, not a totally fake one. Tip number 2, do as much as you can in camera. Good lighting, clean composition, and sharp focus will make editing easier and faster. Editing can't fix a poorly shot photo completely. Tip number 3, zoom in before exporting. Always zoom in and check for unwanted spots or distractions you missed before saving. You might need to use the healing tool or crop something out. Keep copies of originals. Never overwrite your original photos. Always save your edited photo as a new copy. You might want to re-edit it later with a different style. Now, if you're wondering, which app should you select when you're editing photos? Should you use Snapseed, VSCO, Lightroom, or the inbuilt photo editing app? Here's a simple guide. Snapseed is best for spot fixing and selective edits. It is great for travel photos where you want to clean up distractions or brighten a specific area. Now, VSCO. I think you should only use VSCO for a specific vibe or aesthetic and its filters. That's it. VSCO doesn't have that much editing tools, and most of VSCO is paid, but I think the filters are still worth it. Lightroom Mobile. It is best for maximum control on your image because it has HSL and pretty advanced color grading options. It is great if you want to build a professional or polished Instagram feed, or if you need precise color adjustments. Again, just like most photographers, don't stick to just one application. First edit in Snapseed, then apply a VSCO filter. Or do all adjustments in Lightroom, then fine-tune with Snapseed's healing tool. There is no right or wrong here. It depends on your photo and your style. Now I have a little bit of a bonus for you. Here's how you can create a collage using InShot for better storytelling. Let's open the InShot app. Also, using this method, you can create content from horizontal images. See, because of Instagram, most people have stopped taking horizontal images altogether, but I don't think that should be the case. I think you should use horizontal images as well because we as humans see the world horizontally. So here's how to create a collage using horizontal images, and the collage will be vertical or square, whichever you prefer. I prefer vertical. So let's create a vertical collage. Click on collage. There is AI blend, stitching, grid. I personally prefer the grid. So let's go for this one. Grid. Now these are two images that I have. They are both horizontal images. So let's go. If you click on right, now this as an image looks good as well. You can use this as a collage. Let's click on canvas. I want to do a 4:5 Instagram edit. Now if I posted this as a photo, even this looks nice. Let's click on layout. You get a lot of layout options. This looks okay. I think the standard layout looks nice too, like this one. You can swap the positions as well. I don't think it looks as good. Now this looks still nice. You can also swap, flip, rotate, crop. You can even replace it or you can delete it. You can also have borders around the image for a more aesthetic look. You can also round it like this. I don't think it looks good in this particular case. You can also edit this for Instagram stories by doing 9:16. Now, if you click on an image, you can adjust the zoom here. If you just click, you can adjust for zoom. You can or fit the image like this and just click right. And you can drag them up or down if you want. I think it looks nice. You can also apply filters from here, from InShot. So the two images that you had selected here, look part of the same shot. Reduce the intensity like this. I think it looks nice. Now you can also adjust the entire image. If you click on any image, you can adjust the exposure, contrast, warmth, tint, saturation. There is also curves here as well, shadows, and there are a lot of options here as well. So you can edit your image within the InShot app. I, however, recommend you to edit your images in Lightroom or Snapseed using your own preset. Now, you can create your own preset and then apply on your own image. So you can do that as well. That will be way easier, to be honest. If you click on the top right, this image will now be exported. Now you can change ratios, you can select the zoom level, you can also adjust the background. The background can be this image blurry. It looks nice for story purpose, and you can select any color that you want. Let's pick a shade of blue. Now again, I know I'm not doing a great job editing this, but there are a lot of options here that you can select. Select patterns like this one. There are a lot of options that you can tinker around with. Again, I like to keep things simple. This, the only reason we have ended up creating this abomination is because I wanted to show you what you can do with it. But select the ratio 4:5. Now, if you want to create a 9:16 image, I recommend 3 images, or both the images should be square proper. So zoom in, just go to canvas, zoom, and zoom properly so it looks more professional. And after you export this, you can apply the filter on the entire collage so it looks more in tune, just like this. This is your collage right here. Let's export this one. Now it's saved in our gallery. So this is our collage. You click on edit, you click on filter, and apply the same filter on the collage, whichever one looks good. I think this looks nice. Yeah, this looks nice. So let's just edit the filter to some intensity, and I think this looks nice for Instagram sharing. This is the version we have created to upload on our Instagram story, the 9:16. You can also create a version for posting an Instagram post. Now you can also draft horizontal images here, vertical images here as well. You can click on any image, you can pinch to zoom in, to zoom out as well. One tip that I want to give you with this and the entire course that we just did, experiment. Don't feel stuck in one look. Try different presets, adjust colors creatively, and have fun finding your style. Thank you so much for joining me in this mobile photo editing course. I hope you're walking away feeling more confident, creative, and excited to edit your photos right in your smartphone. But please remember, editing is just part of the process. The process of taking good photos begins in your camera or your smartphone. And I have created a dedicated mobile photography course as well. Please check out my profile for that. I will be uploading more photography courses like product photography using your smartphone, and a few more courses are on the way. Please check them out. Thanks for watching.